Chapter 33 Food Relations. Dashi liked nibbling while working, especially when she had to be at the console for most of the day. They were small snacks, something to chew on, like nuts or berries. Today was blueberries, which she was particularly fond of. They tended to be expensive when she lived in the city, and so it was a pleasant shock to see a beautiful row of full blueberry plants in the garden pod. She didn't whoop for joy or anything, not necessarily her style, but she made sure to take a few extra pictures of those plants on her rounds for the magazine. Her paw gently hit plastic. She looked over, her paw in a now empty bowl. Rats, she muttered. Not that she had anything against them, of course. She was going to have to go all the way to the kitchen or garden pod to get more, but she really couldn't do that now. She had to finish tracking the movements of the other crew members. They were in the gups. It was peaceful now, but the captain may need her at any moment. Amongst her thoughts, she did not notice the swish of the octo chute, and was subsequently surprised as a flipper appeared in her peripheral vision. It set something down with a small clang of plastic, and she looked over, seeing the cheerful face of Tamino, the red Vegemal. He nodded, said a few words in Vegemalese, then went on his merry way, humming to himself. Curiously, she looked at the object he put down, and her features softened. It was a bowl filled to the brim with blueberries. Line break. Good, one is taken care of, Tune-Up said with fondness when Tamino reported about Dashi. Now for the next one. They really need to learn how to better take care of themselves. Well, at least Shellington. Tune-Up entered the lab, a plate of seaweed salad and kelp loaf in his possession. The sea otter in question leaned forward on his desk, looking intently through a microscope. Tune-Up, is that you? He asked. If you turned around, you would be able to see for yourself, the yellow Vegemal laughed. Shellington had been catching up on the Vegemalese very nicely by now, and so Tune-Up was able to speak in his native language at a normal speed. He placed his cargo on the space next to the microscope. I brought lunch. Thanks, Shellington said, glancing at him and the food. Well, at least there's progress. He looked back through the microscope. The phytoplankton in this area are fascinating, Shellington said in Vegemalese. It wasn't in the same tone or lilt as when the Vegemal spoke. It still had the Scottish rhythm and accent, but it made Tune-Up strangely proud whenever he practiced. This phytoplankton's flagella moves in a different direction than others in the Mediterranean region. It's like it's an entirely different system of motor controls. He still used some of the more complex words in English, like phytoplankton and flagella. That sounds really cool, and your Vegemalese is getting better and better, Tune-Up added, beaming. Shellington swelled with pride at the words, straightening up. Thanks, you taught me well. Shellington took a fork of salad and put it in his mouth, humming with pleasure at the food. Success. Line break. If there was one thing Gruber, the purple Vegemal, prided himself in, it was his appetite. It caused more eye rolls from Tune-Up than he could count, whenever he snuck a nibble here and there while cooking. Hey, he was trying the food. They had to make sure it was good, right? So when he was challenged by Quasi to an eating competition, he could not say no. Bring it on, Quasi said, and Gruber got into position. The kelp cakes were in front of them, ready to be consumed. Peso was a referee, using a napkin as a makeshift flag. He waved it, counting. 3, 2, 1. They ate and ate, and finally they were full. They walked clumsily to the wall and sat against it, too full and cozy, and slightly nauseous, to go anywhere else. Gruber won, of course. Gruda Bela, Gruber said, holding out his flipper. Quasi looked at him with slitted eyes, studying him, a bit sore from the loss. Good game, the pirate replied, returning the fist bump. Line break. Char-Chard, the green Vegemal, just pulled a radish from the soil when the octochute opened. Tweak arrived in the garden pod, a sun hat, trowel, and basket in paw. She must be here for one thing, Char-Chard thought with amusement as she headed to the section of the garden that had been officially dubbed hers. Hello, she said as she passed him, giving a nod. Char-Chard nodded back. They both got back to work, Char-Chard with the radishes, and Tweak with her own exclusive, singular stash of carrots. Line break. Peso steepled his flippers together a few times, pacing this way and that as if he did not know what to do. He had been like this for the past few minutes. Kaddish did not understand why he was nervous, why he was doing that. All he knew was that he didn't like it, and that the penguin needed help. So when the pink Vegemal offered the medic a cup of hot chocolate, Kaddish was glad that, after looking at the mug blankly for a few seconds, Peso took the drink and, whispering a thank you, had a sip. He still seemed a bit anxious, but as the cup drained, his muscles relaxed, and he stopped pacing. Kaddish counted that as a small victory. Line break. The captain has never been the same since that fateful day. It wasn't a loud change. It was quiet, like a literal shadow following its unsuspecting victim everywhere. The shadow was polite, never intrusive, but still hovered about, ever present. At least, that's what Barrett, the orange vegetable, thought. Gruber thought it was hilarious. Heavy footfalls, which contrasted to the waddling of him and his brothers, alerted him that the shadow had come. The captain stood nearby the doorway to the kitchen, looking about with a clipboard and pen like he was inspecting the room. He rocked back and forth, glancing at Barrett and the dessert he was making. Barrett glanced back discreetly, then went back to work, pretending nothing happened. The captain took a couple steps closer, still, pretending to, inspect the surroundings, until he was right next to the vegetable. Barrett looked up at the captain questioningly. No, carry on, the captain said, as if he wanted to make sure he wasn't disturbing him. Barrett went back to his task, but he could sense the captain's presence remain. He raised an eyebrow towards the captain. If he hadn't known any better, he would have thought the polar bear's mouth was watering. "Oh, all right," he said, giving the captain one of the already prepared bowls of vanilla kelp pudding. The polar bear held it in both paws and hummed happily. This would become a daily routine for the next few weeks, until Tune-Up found out and, with the translation skills of Shellington, had a talk with the captain and put a stop to it. Line break. "Had a long day, haven't you?" A gentle voice roused Tomino's sleepy gaze. The small vegetable put the tea on the professor's nightstand, making sure it was easy to reach for the occupant on the bed. The warm glow of the lamp was the only thing illuminating the space, the windows pitch black under the sea. Sometimes it gave Tomino the creeps, but his brothers usually helped dash those fears away. An agile tentacle carefully took the cup from its coaster to Inkling's lips, who blew it once before trying it, like he did every night. Tomino found that Inkling was a creature of habit. While everyone else was all right with flexible schedules, like if a mission caused the three to be late for lunch, Inkling had to have his meals at specific times. Breakfast at 7, lunch at 12 in the afternoon, tea and fish biscuits at 2, dinner at 5, and tea right before bed. He did not go on missions, so it wasn't usually a problem. If he did miss a meal, though, he would be a bit cranky, though Tomino would never say that to his face, even if the professor didn't understand Vegemalese. Tomino knew that the next thing the professor would do was sigh and thank him. Inkling sighed in contentment. "I must thank you for the tea," he said. "Just the perfect thing to relax after a research-filled day." "You're welcome," Tomino said in his native tongue, nodding his head once. He yawned. Inkling noticed, eyes softening. "I won't keep you here for long. Have a good night, Tomino." "Good night," the red vegetable repeated, rubbing his eye. He left the room, giving one last wave to the professor, before heading to the room where he and his brother slept. He went through the rows of bunk beds to his own bed, on the bottom bunk, and flopped down on the mattress. He fell asleep instantly, soft snores mingling with the breathing of his friends, peaceful and secure. There was peace that night, with many more to come.